美国时事通，我是罗文。
Coming on the air with breaking news about President-elect Donald Trump, the Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith just filed a motion to dismiss the federal criminal case against the president-elect over his efforts to overturn the 2020 election results. The news comes after NBC News learned the Justice Department had been planning to wind down its federal cases against Mr. Trump. It also comes as NBC News learned that Smith and his team plan to resign before Mr. Trump returns to the White House.
This is not unexpected. What is unexpected is that Jack Smith is looking to dismiss these cases without prejudice, which of course leaves the possibility that they could be reopened at another point in time. On one hand, Alicia, it could be totally meaningless. One, to dismiss the cases without prejudice means that you're taking a flyer on whether or not they can be told or paused while Trump is in office. And of course, there's the other possibility that could render them meaningless, which is that he could just pardon himself. But Jack Smith essentially saying today, I'm willing to take the possibility of a toll. And if you want to pardon yourself, that's on you. You have to do that. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easily. I'm not going to absolve you of that.
Let me have you. Hey, screw Jack Smith. He's not going to get a pardon. Trump doesn't need a pardon because he's innocent. Here's where I'd be looking for pardons is Jack Smith. You wait to Biden. Biden's going to be dropping pardons all over those guys. You watch him. You watch him. You watch him. Mike Davis, how big a day was this, sir?
Well, it's a huge day, and it vindicates what we've been saying on this show, Steve, for over 2 years, that this was blatant lawfare and election interference by President Biden and these Democrat prosecutors like Jack Smith, Fani Willis, Tish James, Alvin Bragg, Chris Mays. They run this unprecedented lawfare and election interference, and they said, oh, the election doesn't matter. We're doing this because we're pursuing the law. So why are they dropping these cases right after the election if it wasn't about lawfare and election interference? And what needs to happen, these Democrat prosecutors and witnesses and operatives and even judges who engaged in this unprecedented lawfare and election interference must face severe legal, political, and financial consequences. And that includes a criminal probe under 18 USC Section 241, conspiracy against rights. Jack Smith is very familiar with this statute. It's one of the charges he brought against President Trump in his bogus January 6th case in D.C. for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. This is very destructive what they did. They came after President Trump, his top aides like you, Steve Bannon, and Peter Navarro, who went to prison, his supporters on January 6th, who were politically persecuted, his parents outraged by gender chaos in schools and the resulting rapes in bathrooms. It is unacceptable what Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, Jack Smith, Lisa Monaco, Christian Clark, Tish James, Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, Chris Mays, all of these Democrat operatives engaged in a criminal conspiracy against rights, and they must face severe consequences for this so it never happens again. As they say, nobody is above the law. If they've done nothing wrong, they shouldn't worry about anything. And of course, a grand jury in Fort Pierce, Florida, can bring these charges. And if a grand jury brings these charges, they're legitimate, right?
According to the grand jury system, right? Or at least they get you into the process. Mike, hang on for a second. It's 18. Can you give me that code again?
Jack Smith is very familiar with this. It's 18 USC Section 241, conspiracy against rights, a very serious federal civil rights felony, many years in prison. That's when government officials conspire amongst themselves and including private citizens like Andrew Weissman and Norm Eisen and others, when they conspire to violate the constitutional rights of Americans, you're violating 18 USC Section 241. And when you politicize and weaponize intel agencies and law enforcement to go after your political enemies for non-crimes, that is the very definition of a violation of 18 USC Section 241. Again, nobody's above the law. Lawyer up, guys.
And it is such an honor to have been a small part of the team working for President Trump and helping coordinate the genius attorneys who fought at every single stop. They fought at every turn to prevent the deranged Jack Smith, the weaponized Justice Department, the state cases to prevent them from stopping history. History being President Donald J. Trump being elected and coming back into the White House so he can make America great again. That's been achieved. It's a huge day for America. It's a huge achievement for President Trump, MAGA, and vitally the American people. Look at the tens of millions of dollars, taxpayer dollars wasted. Look at all of the heartache caused. But in the end, President Trump stood strong. The American people stood strong, reelected him in a sweeping mandate. And here we are on the eve of President Trump walking back into the Oval Office on Jan 20, 2025.
Boris, what people don't understand is the with no resources, outgunned, with no resources, no access. So many big law firms wouldn't take the president on because of the pressure of the progressive left and the media to chase their clients away. And people don't understand, not just the hard work. Folks, there were thousands of decisions, and all these different cases and all these different venues, from civil to all, they're coming at him from everywhere, from Arizona to Colorado, Michigan, Manhattan, federal courts, civil lawsuits, thousands of decisions. And you and the legal team giving advice to President Trump and him making the ultimate decision. Guess what? You won out everywhere. That's what's so absolutely stunning about this. Tell us about that. Tell us about being in the moment, those decisions, the long nights, the tough calls. What was it like?
See, here's the thing. When you are working for such a visionary, for somebody who's as strong and determined and forward-looking as President Trump, it feels like second nature. There was never any concern. There was never any fretting. We knew that in the end, President Trump, the American people, and the rule of law would win out. And that's exactly what happened. Between the huge wins on immunity by John Sauer and Will Scharf, the legal team there, the absolutely full of strength battle in New York by Todd Blanchard, Emil Bove, and others, John Laurel, Greg Singer in D.C., Steve Sadow in Georgia. These are absolute and total killers, absolute and total patriots. And under the leadership of President Trump, they stood strong, they fought, and that's how we got here.
Boris, this is not about retribution. It can't be. Everything that goes forward has to be transparent. But we can never allow, if we have any work to do, it's to make sure this is never allowed to happen again. Am I correct in that, sir?
Steve, you're 1,000%. You couldn't be more correct. Our full and total focus has to be now rooting out the rot, making sure weaponization is over. There's no more lawfare. Our country has to go back and function as a nation of laws, and where laws are not used and misused and abused to go after political opponents. Now it's about government. It's about governing. It's about ending the absolute free-for-all at the southern border. It's about stopping violent crime, making sure our adversaries and allies alike are respecting America, and that's exactly what's going to happen under President Donald J. Trump.